Welcome back, everyone. We are discussing the 13 steps to build a scalable business. Over the past couple weeks, we've been discussing 2 steps a week. So this week, we are discussing step 5, which is building a pro forma, and step 6 is building a business plan. You might have been wondering, well, what's the difference between the two? So, a pro forma, what it is, it's essentially it's an income statement or a profit and loss statement. The difference of a pro forma and a P&L is that it's actually a forward-looking projection, right? When you do a P&L, it's usually a look back, right? You're looking at your prior month's numbers, your last year's numbers, you're looking at actual income, expenses. This approach is, and it really falls into um, building your goals, developing your year, and kind of putting your work plan together for the year. So this is all of the financial pieces of it. So building a pro forma, and I do have an example of one. It's an Excel spreadsheet. It's in the locker room. After we get finished today, I'm going to send the Excel spreadsheet over to you. You can download it, copy it, modify it how you like. But when you're building a pro forma, it's broken out into revenue, expenses, your net profits. Also in a pro forma, locker room style, is to consider some outside factors. So seasonality, economic conditions, and I'll go into that in a little bit. So when we're building a pro forma, we want to look at specifically revenue. So in this instance with the locker room that gives some examples. And it's a great idea when you build out your pro forma to break out your revenue by your revenue sources. So buyers, listings, your seller clients. If you do rentals, breaking it out by rentals and even breaking it down a little bit further. Is it a rental? Are you representing a rental tenant? Listings? And in some cases, Jamie's case, property management, right? Um, Other revenue sources that you might think of that would be in your business. So, um, uh, an example is if you were to be a showing agent for another agent, you're making revenue from just those showings. So maybe you make an extra income by door, for example. Um, Transaction coordinating. So are you offering transaction coordinating services to other agents? Are you splitting commissions with another agent for just particular services, as an example? Marketing, things of that nature. So the idea here when you do a pro forma is to break out your revenue sources into different categories. So don't just lump it and say commissions or compensation. And there's a reason for that. I'll get into a little bit after kind of we talk about expenses. So expenses, your major expense is going to be taxes, right? So taxes, any other business expenses, if you pay for a CRM, signs, business cards, insurance. None of you rent office space, so office space is not going to be a factor. But any expenses that you would incur for marketing, whether it has to, it's directly related to a listing or a buyer, or it's just overall business expenses. So, Georgia, I'll use Georgia as an example. She is advertising her home buyer seminar, and she is purchasing ads on Instagram. So that's an expense to her. And that would be something that you would include. So that would fall under marketing promotions, things of that nature. So outside factors. Um, when I share the Excel spreadsheet as an example, it breaks it up by month, right? Um, your real estate business, especially in Arizona, is seasonal, right? So January through April, May is busy, right? The weather is nice, people are traveling, people are looking, people are buying, people are renting in that busy season. June, July, August, a little bit warmer. It's the summer. Usually people are not thinking about listing their home, buying a home because the kids are on break from school, right? They're going to be on vacation, they're going to be out. It starts to pick up again in August, September, October, and then November and December because of the holidays. You still have activity, but you kind of die out. So when you do a pro forma, project each month as you're going forward based on seasonality. So in the case of rentals, maybe you have, or property management, maybe you have rentals that you're working with clients that every year they're going to list their rental with you when their lease is up. So you would be able to project that through the pro forma. Economic conditions. Let's talk about this a little bit. So real estate as a whole in 2024 was a little bumpy. So interest rates were high. Buyers were just kind of sitting, waiting for those interest rates to drop. So as a whole, the market was slower. 2025, at least for right now, is expected to kind of project the same way. But, what we were talking about last weekend, if you have a relationship-based, referral-based business, and you are working by referral, working your relationships, you're not buying leads, you're just really focusing on servicing your clients that are, within your network, those economic conditions and seasonality will flatten out, right? So people that they're going to list, they're going to sell based on life factors, right? So you have people that are upsizing, you have people that are downsizing, people that are relocating, things of that nature. Those people that move because of life decisions are going to move and work with a realtor that they know or a referral that they know. So, yes, when you do a pro forma, I do want you to think about seasonality, economic conditions, things like that, but also take into consideration what type of business that you have. Um, and if your business is coming from referrals, relationship, things like that, you're gonna flatten out some just because of that factor. Okay, I'm gonna share the Excel spreadsheet and I will send this to you at the end when I send out the recording. Okay, so here is the Pro Forma in Excel spreadsheet style. You want to use Google Forms, use a Canvas sheet, write it down on a piece of paper, however whatever your mechanism is um, to do this, that is completely up to you. But this Excel sheet is a great way for you to start. So over on the income, it's broken out between, and this is closed GCI, right? So this is commission that you have earned, broken out by, he gives examples of buyers, listings, and referrals, right? That's another income source that I didn't mention earlier, but referrals. So think about your business, look at your business last year. Where did you get your business from? And break out those income categories. And then through January through December, project out, and you can use last year's numbers, project out in those categories dollars, right? How much revenue? So this is revenue in each one of the months, taking into consideration economic factors, seasonality factors, things like that. Um, I would also take into consideration just the fact that we have a new president. He's making a lot of changes. He's kind of shaking things up. That does have a tendency to make people nervous. So just pay attention to the news, think about kind of how some of the things that are happening um, politically could affect your business. Okay, so cost of sales. So I want to talk about this a little bit and explain what would fall into a cost of sales category. So a cost of sales category would be any expenses that are directly related to your compensation. So in the case, so we'll make it, I'll give an easy example. You have a listing, right? When you have a listing, there are upfront costs that you need to incur for that listing. You're going to get photos, right? Maybe you're going to do drone footage. You have to put signs in the yard. You have to pay for the posts. You're going to be doing marketing. Maybe you're doing flyers, which reminds me, I need to go get mine. Um, Flyers for the property. Maybe you're working with a title company and they're going to be either offering to print some seller books for you or contributing to that if there's some expense that's involved. So that would go directly in this cost of sales. Also, if you're using a transaction coordinator inside the brokerage, you would also include that in this section because it is an expense that is directly related to the listing, buyers, anything like that. Then that's going to give you a profit number. And and that's going to be your profits based on your income, less any of your property, your, your business expenses that tie directly to that income. And then you're going to have expenses that's everything else, right? You're going to pay the tax man no matter what, right? Um, you're going to maybe you're going to be doing, so the example I used for Georgia was she's paying for some Instagram ads. So that's marketing. That's overall marketing to gain additional business. Postage, equipment. Maybe you spill coffee on your laptop and you've got to go out and buy a new laptop. Um, things like that. So any service providers that you enlist for your business development, growing your business, any just general business expenses. So you would include all those. Oh, if you need, you can use prior year expenses. That will give you an idea of kind of some things that you might have spent money on. Um, a heavy area is marketing and technology. That's another big category. From there, you get your total expenses. You subtract your expenses from your gross profit, and you come up with a net profit. Um, so, like I said, with the pro forma, this is a projection, right? So you can use this and now and fill it out and complete it through 2025 to give you a look forward of what um your P&L could look like. Then when you do create your P&L um of your actual expenses, then you can take that, compare it to your pro forma, and identify areas that one, maybe you're not budgeting your recording your expenses accurately. Maybe you need to adjust those up or down. Your cost of sales, things like that. Maybe you um, projected your income to be higher or lower than what it was. And you can kind of take those projections and move that forward. But it's a great exercise to take your pro forma, compare it to your monthly P&L, quarterly P&L, however often that you do it, and compare it to your pro forma that you had put together. Um, Anybody have any questions on that topic? No. Okay. So, I mean, this is really just, it's a tool for you to use to manage your business, and it's managing the financial pieces of your business. Yes, ma'am. You're on mute. Kim, you're on mute.
Sorry about that. So this is a great spreadsheet. Are you going to be sending that and will it be available for us?
Yep, I'm going to send it out
Nice.
after the meeting. So I record the session, then I send out the recording and any tools or anything that I share in the meeting, I send it afterward.
Awesome.
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome. So that is step 5 of the 13 steps to building a scalable business. Step 6 is building a business plan. So this is when Jake talks about building a business plan in this format, really if you've done goal planning in the past, what this is, it's called a 1-3-5. And the idea behind doing this is not to build a 5-year plan, but to bring it in and look at the next 6 to 12 months. So the great thing about doing a business plan in this format is, and I do this, I kind of do this quite, I'm a little bit neurotic about it. I have about 15 main objectives. And when we go through that, it's like an upside down funnel, right? You start with a main objective, you go to your goals to reach your objective, and then you talk about tactical action items that kind of roll up. So the great thing about doing these in this particular manner is that you can change it on the fly, right? So you're doing forward looking projections, right? So you're saying, and I'll give you and I'm going to show you an example. But in this, you come up with a main objective, and that objective should follow the SMART goals. So it's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's reasonable, it's timely. So when it hits all of those five factors, then you know that you have a good main objective, good goal. So, and it's big. So 50,000 feet up in the sky objective. You come down and under that objective, um, so the locker room, Jake calls it goals to um, reach your objective. I think of these more as strategies, right? So you have your big goal, and then underneath that goal, you're going to have three strategies that are going to be specific to addressing that one big goal. And then underneath each one of those three, you're going to have up to five. He calls these strategies, I call them tactics. So very tactical, very gritty, very action. You can put a checkbox right next to it and you can go check, 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 that's done. Um, Up to five tactical, actionable items that are going to reach that particular goal of the. So you got the three, right? So underneath each one of the three, you'll have five. Up to five. Sometimes it's difficult to come up with five. Don't try and beat yourself up saying, I got to get five. If there's three, then there's three. If it's the right three, those are the right action steps in order for you to meet that particular strategy that's going to hit that main goal. So that's why it's called a 1-3-5. So it's one objective, three strategies to meet that objective, and five tactical, actionable items that are going to address each one of those strategies. I'm going to show you an example of one that is already filled out. So what is the main goal? So in this example, it's I don't know how you sell a half a house, but we're just going to say we're going to sell a half a house. Close 31.5 homes by December 31st. Okay. It's specific, it's measurable, it's actionable, it's reasonable. Now, if you said, I want to close as a single agent, I want to close 150 homes, that really wouldn't be reasonable. So make sure that your numbers are reasonable because you want to achieve your goals. And it's timely, right? So you put a time block on it. These goals can be anything specific about your business. So it could be a sales goal. It could be um, a marketing goal. You have a particular marketing goal. Say you want to, and I'm just going to make this up, but say that you want to start calling expireds and you're going to need a red X system in order to get phone calls, get numbers, things like that. Again, I'm just making this up, but that would be what your goal is. So it's the world is your oyster, whatever it is you decide for your goals to be. Now, for the brokerage and what I do is I have three main categories for the brokerage. And under those three main categories, I have multiple goals under there. So those goals, I do a 1, 3, 5 under each one of them. So I probably have of these sheets, probably about 15 different. Yes, it's if anybody wants to see it sometime, I'm happy to share it. Um, Actually, I think it's a good idea for me to share it so you guys know the vision of the brokerage. So, Kate, make note of that. I think we're going to do that. Okay, so back on the goal. So, close 31.5 homes by December 31st, 2022. This form specifically is in the agent action plan in the locker room, and they call it 3 pillars to success. So, these are the 3 strategies. So, what are the 3 strategies that you're going to do in order to achieve that goal? In this example, develop and implement an outreach plan to nurture a warm database, hold 2 open houses per week for 48 weeks, total of 96, and attend 2 meaningful networking events per month. And underneath each one of those 3 strategies are 5 action steps. So in this for this particular goal, there's 15 different actionable items that you would do in order to achieve that particular goal. Like I said earlier, the great thing about these things is that they are customizable on the fly, right? So you're thinking, so I'll give an example on the third column, number 2, join a local BNI group. Um, Joining a BNI group as a real estate agent is the hardest slot in a BNI group to get into. Really, the only way that you're going to achieve this is if you start your own BNI group. So when you put these together, you're thinking, okay, this is going to be a great idea. But then as you're going through, you're trying to, meet these objectives, and you realize, well, maybe that's just not a reasonable objective. So take that out, substitute it with something else, put your energy and efforts into some other items. Um, it's These are living, breathing goals, living, breathing documents, and you can adjust as you go. When I first started doing this, I was like, no, I have to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and got to do it, got to do it, got to do it. And just really kind of beat myself up about it and realized this is living, it's breathing, it needs to be adaptable as your business changes or as you learn information about your goals and how to action them. So I say that because I want everybody to realize that these are flexible, these are your goals. You can change them, modify them as you see fit. Does anybody have any questions? No? Clear as mud? Well, I think that is all that I had to go over today.